Ayo, what is up everyone? It is the Alpha J of the Alpha J Show. Firstly, I'd like to give a huge thank you to everyone who voted in the Twitter poll. I was on the fence between a really good episode and a really bad episode, and I suppose you guys want me to tear apart an episode rather than praise it, at least for this series. It's not a good one, guys. However, just a small pre-rant. Just because I do one negative review on a series, that does not mean that I hate the series. If that were true, then I would hate the Mighty Bee and Back at the Barnyard, which is not true. The reverse is also true. If I do good reviews on bad shows, it doesn't mean that I like the series as a whole. It's just an episode review, not a season or series review. Unless I explicitly say that I don't like the series or season, you guys probably shouldn't assume it. I answer a lot of questions, so I don't think assumptions are really needed for my channel. I have a lot of cartoons on my plate and I like to keep it moving, especially since there's way too many cartoons and I only do this review once a week. So with that information, I should inform you that I actually like My Life as a Teenage Robot. I remember watching it a lot when it was on. It's an action comedy series that came out around the mid 2000s. Honestly, it has a lot of influence from Powerpuff Girls and those teenage girl high school animated dramas. It seemed to hit the sweet spot for the middle of both of these, so why was this episode so bad? We'll see as we check out I Was a Preschool Dropout.
Mickey Momo! The Mickey Momo is an attitude. The Mickey Momo is a mellow mood.
Instead of giving exposition, we get Brad singing.
Whenever I get close to you.
Instead of ranting about how this has nothing to do with the story, it's a bad opener, let's just wait it out. Maybe one of you can point it out. Oh, I know why they did it. It's to bridge this crappy exposition. What Brad was singing was a one-hit wonder from 6 years ago. I'm not even kidding. But Jenny was not created 6 years ago. Keyword, created, not born. So as they talk about Jenny, the teenage robot, and how she's 5 years old, the principal overhears them. At first I was confused. Why is the principal hiding behind a wall? It's not like he's sipping coffee, walking past, and he just so happened to overhear. It's not like he's casually getting out of his car and he couldn't help but hear. This doesn't look right now that I think about it. It's almost as if the writers put him here for this story to work. But let me explain. Good exposition is vital to a good cartoon. It's the part that brings you into the story, starting the domino effect of what is your good cartoon episode. Bad or forced exposition will only make the story seem like the rest is forced or not good. Give Waffles one thing, the characters were all seen doing something realistic. Here we specifically needed Brad to bring up a one-hit wonder from 6 years ago, and the principal specifically to be behind this wall for no reason for this story to work. And just for the record, for the last review, it was plausible for Mort to spy on King Julian. He's kind of weird in that way. The principal freaks out and calls the police, or whoever these guys are. They tackle Brad because police tackle crime. Then they take Jenny to a place where 5-year-olds like her belong. Kindergarten.
I was made 5 years ago, but I was designed as a teenager. I belong with other teenagers in high school.
Seems plausible. I mean, she was designed to be a teenager. I like to point out that the teacher states that she knows Jenny's type. They never explain what that is. I mean, I'm assuming that it's kids that act grown up. But then again, does she look like a kid? But I'm not gonna harp on that just yet. Let's just wait it out. She doesn't differentiate between Jenny being a robot and being a human. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the teacher never acknowledges the fact that she's metallic. All this amounts to is just both of them going back and forth. Nothing really gets solved. The teacher being ignorant and Jenny knowing the main problem with this episode. I know it doesn't seem like much, so let's move on. Jenny sits with the rest of the kids.
Please say hello to Jenny.
She's all metally.
So the kids know that Jenny's a robot, but not the adults? It's gonna be one of those shows, isn't it? Also, I'm not gonna harp on the kids being rude too much because they're kids and their role was to be rude for a purpose. So the teacher starts naming letters and asking the students to name a word that starts with it. Of course, she doesn't pick Jenny because then the story would be over. But seriously, the real reason Jenny gets ignored is to set up Jenny being unlikable.
Oath, oboe, ottoman, ostrich, optical, orangutan, organic, obtuse. In your face. What a baby.
Jenny just seems so out of place here, and not in the high schooler in kindergarten sort of way. More like the character is painfully aware of something and the people around her are simply remain ignorant sort of way. I destroyed why this doesn't work in my first review. In fact, characters being ignorant seems to be a real hot button topic for me. Specifically. Back at the Barnyard, Very Odd Parents, just to name some off the top of my head. And let me be crystal clear, making Jenny unlikable does not make your story any better. It just makes any excuse that this episode should exist worse. You know an episode that took a character who was unfairly disadvantaged and tried to make them unlikable by doing something out of character? Demolition Doofus. Does the teacher realize instead that Jenny may have the intelligence and is just annoyed by the fact that she has a special circumstance?
It's not about who's right or wrong. It's trying our best to get along. Maybe the next exercise will help.
Of course not, because then that would end the episode. Also, that would explain why the kindergartners flat out bully Jenny in front of the teacher. Not even kidding. Just wait a second. So they play make-believe, and of course the teacher puts Jenny in the group with the kid she just embarrassed. Totally not on the nose by making that a factor into why the kids don't like her, you're not being on the nose at all. Let me just cut to the chase. Of course they don't like her. Jenny's going to be unlikable in this episode. You guys made it painfully clear. So this girl makes Jenny play the dog. Of course she doesn't want to. She has way too much pride to do so. So this kid here starts doing the robot. I wonder what acting like a stereotypical robot would mean for someone like XJ9.
But I am the robot.
I am the robot. I am the robot.
You are the robot. You are the robot. You are the robot. Oop, oop. You are the robot. Oop, oop.
You thought SpongeBob and Family Guy had obnoxiously long gags that aren't funny? This lasts for over a minute. It comes out of nowhere. The beat isn't even synced. Way to go. You picked the one genre built off of robotically accurate drum beats and somehow made it awkward to listen to. I mean, there's these things called second takes. I mean, I make mistakes a lot in my reviews. Mistakes that you will never hear because I'm editing them out. Because the writers want to make Jenny unlikable just like the children, Jenny has another outburst because the first one worked just fine, but they really wanted it to be engraved in your head that Jenny is supposed to be unlikable. The only way the first one was better was that it didn't waste my time. Who would you root for in this episode? The ignorant teacher, the slightly rude, obnoxious children, or the robot that one-ups kids in an idiotic way just to get out of class?
I am very disappointed in you, Jennifer.
But I am the robot.
Jesus, tap dancing, Christ! Who cares? And people harp on me for caring so much about cartoons. Who cares if you're the robot or not? Why are the writers making you so unlikable? What does any of this prove? I guess maybe if I were young I would laugh at the robot part, but what about the other 80% of this episode? Why did you spend all this time animating this? I get it, okay? Jenny's acting immature in front of a group of children, but that's not funny. So the teacher suggests that Jenny approaches the kids during recess time. Of course they don't like her. No, we're not going to pretend that he didn't just peg that ball at Jenny's head and the teacher didn't say anything. If this were any other cartoon, I promise you it would not be a major criticism. But remember when she said this?
It's not about who's right or wrong. It's trying our best to get along.
Repeat after me. If there's one thing that the Alpha J doesn't like, it's blatant hypocrisy. In my opinion, the teacher is extremely incompetent. Sure, she does well when it comes to basic teaching, but all that amounts to is holding up a flashcard and asking her students what word starts with this letter. This was the moment I gave up on this episode being anything decent because it's really not. Practice what you teach. She tries to play with the kids, but they won't have any of it. Sorry, but there's less than 5 minutes left and you're not gonna redeem yourself that easy. Also, everyone calls her stupid. The word that was so bad it made a kid cry. And lastly, the kid who throws the balls? Yeah, he does not stop. He never gets in trouble for it anyway. The excuse of her being able to take it because she's a teenager doesn't work because 1, it doesn't change the fact that these kids are just being just as terrible. And 2, the teacher doesn't see her as a teenager because if she did, this episode would have ended. So essentially, as long as you get along with the majority of kids, it doesn't matter whose head you smash in. It doesn't matter about concussions. And you're probably gonna be like, Alpha J, she didn't get a concussion. She seems very fine. I think Jenny can change your mind about that. Just Just give me a second. Jenny snaps and she doesn't want any more of this. She straight up knocks every kid out with the ball. Think I'm kidding? So the teacher in the most hypocritical way scolds Jenny. Did you not see any of this? I know this is a cartoon teacher, and in any other case, I wouldn't advocate for someone to lose their job, but like, can she get fired from this? You would help the educational system tenfold.
Class, what do we say when someone can't get along and doesn't belong?
Cool!
What? No, class.
Several concussions and memory loss later, the kids love Jenny. She's cool because she can give me a black eye. The teacher tries to sway the kids to think otherwise, like a ringleader. They don't listen to her because she can't control a classroom, which makes me question why she's an elementary teacher in the first place. So the new and improved Jenny reads to the children until they fall asleep. She starts to like the kids that she nearly knocked out, or did knock out. They never really made that clear. So then she goes to sleep and the episode ends with future episodes having Jenny in elementary school. And that was the... Alright, here's the true end. However, that ending was less insulting than this one.
As these diagrams illustrate, XJ9 was made 5 years ago, but she was designed as a teenager.
But that's exactly what I said.
Yes, dear, but you didn't have diagrams.
Wow. Pictures on paper is better than the actual person telling you what they were made for. You know what? Forget this episode. There's better episodes in the season. I'm not gonna harp on this, including the sister episode of this particular episode. So Jenny doesn't want to go. She goes anyway, and the kids basically end on a joke. The most obvious joke, how Jenny is crying while being dragged out. Oh, what a baby. You get it? Because they're babies. Ugh. I think this episode tries a little bit too hard to put Jenny in this mess. In reality, people would take into account special circumstances that they don't hear. But then again, there isn't any robot teenagers in the educational system, as far as I know. And I get it, they tried to play up the absurdity for a joke, but the joke simply doesn't work. The beginning was forced just to spend the maximum amount of time making Jenny unlikable. The teacher was a giant hypocrite, and the children are obnoxious, and apparently they love pain. It's true, it has been proven. So I'll end it with this. 2 wrongs don't make a right, but you need a rewrite because this episode has it all wrong. So this was a second request I'm taking, and I need 2 Halloween requests, so I'm gonna try to gear towards taking more Halloween oriented requests. So if the series you request has an Halloween episode, I'll be more likely to take it. So I believe the next time I'm going to be taking requests is going to be in December and January, because November is all mine. And also because I'm trying to make sure that my 50th episodes lands on a day very specific, so I can't do too many uploads. And also right now I'm more likely to take an animation bonus request. I hope your time is well spent, and Alpha out.